the 5 or maybe 6 of them, I think I see 5 to take a seat up here. 6, wow, great. Yeah. Okay, there are 6 place cards in here with numbers of 1 to 6 on them. Okay, made these today at the Lincoln Journal's office. That's okay. Just reach in, pick out one. Charlie. And if you could place it in front of you, maybe turn it towards my good self, that would be alright. Okay. Alright, just to give everyone a little bit of background, we have 6 candidates for County Commission this year. They are KK Matthews here, starting this year, KK Matthews, Democrat, who is unopposed in his primary. Then we have Charles Vance, Democrat, who was chosen by party selection. Then we have Charlie Cook, Republican, who was also chosen by party selection. Then we have John Lovejoy, who is a Republican, unopposed in his primary. Betty Hodge is an independent who filed by signatures. And then we have Nicholas Blair, also independent, also filed by signatures. There are 2 County Commission seats. And the way it has worked out, there's a wonderful symmetry to it. There's a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent running in one district, and there's essentially the same running in the other district. There are 2 seats. The 6-year term was scheduled to be part of the election cycle anyway, and the unexpired 4-year term arose following the resignation of Thomas Ramey Jr. 6-year terms for District 1, 4-year terms for District 2. I understand it. And that's it. I have 12 questions ready. We'll do the first 6, and if the time is a little bit short, we'll go into the second 6 then. Okay? So, we'll start with KK because he drew number 1. And our first question, and you will all have a chance to answer this question. KK goes first, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. KK, the Lincoln County Commission meets about 24 times per year. Outside of regular commission meetings, how much time per week do you envisage dedicating to your role as a county commissioner should you be elected?
Well, Sean, I think when you're talking about the job of a county commissioner, or whether it is someone that's on the board, anytime that you're serving the public, it's a non-stop job. It's 24/7, and I understand that. Having served on the Board of Education, you receive phone calls all the time about various problems, things that maybe that you should do, or maybe things that you can do better. But you know, whenever you're allotting time, okay, I mean, I think everybody on this panel actually has a job, so you have 40 hours. But after that, you know, you're devoting everything that you can to the people of Lincoln County. And if you don't expect that from your candidate, then I think that you're selling you short.
Okay.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Yes,
on these introductions.
Opening statements. I may have forgotten that.
Well, won't just go ahead. And we'll do that way.
Do you want to save them for closing statements?
Yeah, we'll just, that's
everyone?
right.
Is that okay? My apologies. First mistake. The second person to answer that is John Lovejoy.
The time you spend on the county commission, I've been a volunteer fire chief since '94. Problems arise in a county and they need the next minute attention. It's the same way of being on a fire department. In the next second, you may get a bad call, you have to respond to it. And you need to be available to put in the time for this seat. This is a very important seat. And myself, probably luckier than some of the rest of them, I get a lot of vacation time a year that I can't even take. So taking off from work or doing stuff shouldn't be no problem.
Nicholas?
I like Johnny, I'm also been in the fire service for years and an assistant fire chief, and, you know, I think we kind of feel the same way with that, is, you know, this is kind of just like a fire department the county is. You never know when an emergency is going to arise at any time that would need to be taken care of. I think the county commission, you know, whoever it is, needs to be available at any time. As with the tornado we had back in the spring, you know, all the power outages we had, that was, you know, part of the stuff the county commission needed to be involved in, that needed to step up and be available to, you know, provide money to the local entities that came in and set up to, you know, help offset the disaster that we had for our people. And, you know, as county commissioner, I think we all need to, you know, whoever the two seats are, I think we need to devote as much time as possible. You know, any free moments we have, I think that's devoted to the people of Lincoln County. I mean, that's ultimately what we're here to serve, is the people of the county. They're the ones who, you know, elect us, who pay us, and that's who we're here to, you know, represent.
Commissioner Vance, you're the only incumbent on the panel. Same question to you. How much time per week do you envisage continuing as a county commissioner?
Well, I think, as the other candidates have said, this is a 24-hour-a-day job. I mean, you may not hear from someone in that 24 hours. You may hear from 10 to 12 people. You know, not only do you have to be ready for the emergencies that we've had experienced here since at least the last 12 years I've been on, you also have to attend meetings such as the Hatfield McCoy Board of Directors, which I've served on, Porter G Regional Development Authority, the Route 10 Coalition. There's a lot of different committees that the commission has representatives on that look after the welfare of the people of the county and what we need to do as far as improving Route 10 and the things, the changes we've made in it. You know, and you also have to have, I think, an eye on whatever goal you really want to get done. And mine's always been trying to get people clean, drinkable water. And over the last 12 years, you know, I think we've almost doubled the amount of water that's been available to the people. I saw this as a physician when I first came to practice here in the county 31 years ago. Is that a lot of our people were sick, not because they wanted to be sick, but because of the quality of water they had, whether it was from toxins or from infections and things like that. But the commission has to always, members of the commission have to always be available to the people, and you know, you just never know what they may come up against. And the response that we had on the storm that's been mentioned before wasn't adequate, I didn't think. I thought that the AEP did a poor job of coordinating efforts and things of that nature. Of course, they are looking at that, what happened, and we also in the county are looking at that. So, but it's something you have to do. You have to continually strive to make any problems that you have with one emergency, you have to make sure you don't have it again. And I give kudos to my firefighting candidates here, because I know we owe them a lot as we do the emergency services and the law enforcement people we have.
Same question to you, Mr. Cook. How much time would you devote to being county commissioner?
Well, like I say, it would be a 24/7 job. I mean, it would be something that you would have to stay on top of. I mean, it's something to know what's going on in the county, you would have to be there to do it. It's not something you could just, you know, wouldn't take lightly.
And the final person to answer that will be Betty Hodge.
Having 16 years in state and county government time, there is no limit. When you go home in the evening, you don't just forget about your job. It is a 24/7, you know, 365 days a year that you need to be there. And as you know, as many issues that we have in our county, it is an ongoing process.
Very good. That was 6 minutes, so that worked out just fine. Our second question, and the first person to answer the second question, will be John Lovejoy. And it's a short question. John, what motivated you to run for the office of Lincoln County Commissioner?
The water, like Doc said, I want to bring water into the community where I live throughout the county. I think everybody's entitled to that. I run some calls up to the Mud River Dam. Cell phone service is a must in this county. We need cell phone coverage through this county. We need to get on it, we need to work on it, we need to make it happen. I could sit here all night and tell you what we need to do, you know. But, there's a lot of issues out there, and we need to take them one at a time, stay on them, get them accomplished, and go to the next one.
Thank you, John. The second person to answer that question is Nick Blair.
A couple of things that Johnny mentioned there, I feel the same way about. I feel that our current county commission, hasn't really done enough as far as water goes to provide for our people. This is the year 2012. There's no reason we couldn't have a plan in order in the next 5 to 10 years to have every citizen of Lincoln County, public water supply. And not only with public water, you also get, enhanced fire protection, which lowers your insurance rates and, adds safety to your family and, your loved ones. Also, the cell phone service. We have people that are out in these mountains every day riding four-wheelers, enjoying the hills of West Virginia, or just out on our roads, enjoying, the roads or traveling throughout the county. And I know in Harts, we've petitioned multiple times to get the county commission involved to help with cell phone service and stuff, and it really seems like they haven't done a whole lot to help us out as far as that goes either. Another thing is I feel that we need to, establish some type of fair hiring practices for all of our county jobs that we have. We need to have interview sessions for any job in the county that's available that is a county job. Taxpayers have a right to, see these people before they're hired and do all that stuff to, tell who's coming in and what. And, just multiple other things that's in the county. I mean, we don't do enough for our children that's in this county. We don't have any type of, after-school activities for them to participate in really. We have, our community centers are in, not top shape whatsoever, especially for places for the kids to go to enjoy after-school extracurricular activities to keep them out of trouble as far as drugs or thieving or different things go. And I think the list just goes on and on with things we could do to improve this county.
Thanks. Commissioner Vance, you're next. Again, you're running as an incumbent, and there was a time earlier this year when you could not have run for election, and suddenly circumstances changed, you were able to run for election. What motivated you to run for re-election?
Well, I was thinking that this question might come up, but I really didn't know whether to talk about the need for clean elections and fair elections, or the original reason that I run. And I was going up 10 Mile Creek today and across Route 37, and I saw something on 10 Mile I hadn't ever seen before, and that was a fire hydrant. And I stopped and talked to some people there, and my original plan was, which we did, was establish a countywide water plan back some 10 years ago. And we've accomplished a lot of those projects on that. And it takes years for projects. And the 10 Mile project itself, I went to Governor Manchin at the time, who was chairman of the Appalachian Regional Commission, co-chair of it, and told him about the needs of 10 Mile and what Rock Springs had done to the water up there and things like that. And we received, I think, our first ARC grant we'd ever received for $1.5 million to do the 10 Mile project. And coming down Route 37, though that water project was necessary, and it also helped Rock Springs because it allowed them to get more permits to expand and work and things of that nature. So I have to say that originally my plan is, as it is now, to try to expand the water to different areas. And we're talking about a process that takes years to do. It's not something that you can just jump up and say, I'm going to put water in this area and get it done. The commission has, over the past several years, allocated hundreds of thousands of dollars to the different PSDs to do water project and receive matching funds on things. And receiving a small cities block grant only allows you to do one water project at a time. You can't get multiple projects approved through the small cities block grant. That's the majority of our funding for our water projects. So, and cell towers are important and things of that nature, and we've done, I think, everything we could to try to encourage people to put their business on the towers that we have existing, plus get new towers. But I really think that was when I started in as far as being county commissioner, I wanted to make sure that we got safe drinking water to everybody that we could. And we've done everything that we can over the past 10 years to do that.
Thanks, Commissioner. Charlie Cook, you're next. Again, just to restate the question, what motivated you to run for county commission?
Well, the main thing is I've been in Lincoln County my entire life. I remember years ago when there was a lot more business, car dealerships, drive-in theaters, everything in the county. And it's gradually gone downhill. and I want to do something, whatever it be, water projects, cell towers, to change that, do something for the people, and that was my motivation.
Thanks, Chair. Betty, you're next. What motivated you to run for County Commission?
The first thing that motivated me was the people of Lincoln County. I think they're due a change, and there's too much power in the courthouse. I believe that they want someone that cares about the people and not the jobs that they can get taken care of or therefore. And I attended the University of South Carolina, became a certified grant writer. I can write grants for anyone in the United States. I know that there's a lot of grant money out there that's not being taken advantage of. Law enforcement, crime watch, different things for our underage kids. And that was my motivation, was to bring money to this county.
Thank you, Betty. And finally, KK, what motivated you to run for County Commission?
Well, I think that the reason I ran for this position is I think that we can do better. I think that that we can move Lincoln County forward. And I'm not, and you know, just like with everything that they've said, you know, accessible drinking water to all the citizens, you know, cell towers, having cell service, and you know, I think you touched on, you know, hiring practices, you know, maybe having a hiring policy, you know, for this county, and maybe having evaluations for the people in your office, so that, you know, if there is a salary increase, well, maybe it's warranted, okay, through an evaluation. And I mean, I think those are just some common sense things that we need to look at. But the reason I'm running is because, you know, I'm running to represent District 1, okay? And being from District 1 and having grown up in Samarico and have lived in Lincoln County for years, okay? I feel like that there's a tremendous opportunity that we have with our existing infrastructure that we do have, such as 119. You know, 119 runs through the eastern part of Lincoln County, and I don't know if any of you have ever checked the traffic data for 119. Ladies and gentlemen, there's 15,000 vehicles that go through our county every day. That's phenomenal. That's absolutely unbelievable. And you know, we have, you know, in Allen Creek, we have water. Okay, we have power. You know, the county commission, Dr. Vance, and you know, they've talked about sewer and trying to get sewerage up through Allen Creek. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I know people who have set up businesses in Allen Creek, and the barrier to entry in Allen Creek is sewage. Whenever you drop money into property, when you're dropping money into a business, and you're trying to set up a business in Lincoln County, if you don't have the infrastructure for the business, whether it's industrial, whether it's commercial, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to get it. And you know what? It's not District 1. It's everybody in Lincoln County. It's people from Harts, people from Ranger, people from West Hamlin, because everybody benefits from a tax base. And whenever you look at what we have and what we could have, when you talk to the people, ladies and gentlemen, you know, whenever you're talking to somebody and they're trying to put in a business, okay, and they're $60,000 down because they had to put in a septic system, or they had to put in a sewer system, you have to have deep pockets if you even want to come into this place. If you even want to set something up. And what we need to do is we need to provide some infrastructure. You know, I see a lot of other things that we need to do. I mean, with 119, we can develop the Hatfield and McCoy. I mean, as many trailheads as we can have, that brings tourism into our area. And that's money that is spent here, not in Logan, okay, not in Chapmanville. That's money that is spent in Lincoln County. Some other things. I think that we need to develop the dam. Okay, and I mean, I know I'm probably going, but you know, we need to take the time to look at some of the things that we have and how we can capitalize on what we have. And maybe I'm far off. Maybe, you know, I'm a visionary. But I think that everybody who is running for this position needs to have a vision and needs to come to the table with some type of plan where we can talk and we can address issues and we can move the county forward. That's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thanks, KK. Our third question was mentioned by Doc a few minutes ago, and I guess it's an obvious one that was going to come up, and Nick, you're the first one to answer this question. Two former elected officials, one has begun his federal prison sentence, the other is perhaps about to begin his federal prison sentence for their role in the 2010 Democratic primary election absentee ballot conspiracy. One, a third official, will be sentenced on November 15. As a commissioner, what would you do to help restore confidence in the electoral process in Lincoln County?
You know, as a county commission, as far as elections go, I think we need to stand behind whoever our county clerk is, our clerk's office that's administering our elections. We need to make sure that we give them the full attention when they're needed around election time to do anything that may need to be done to instill in the people, you know, that this is a straightforward process as far as voting goes. The early voting centers, I think, is a great thing that we have open now in the county. I think that's something in future elections we need to keep open, and maybe even add early voting centers in other parts of the county, you know, in other various small regions. That's an excellent way to get people out and show them, you know, that their vote still does count. And, you know, absentee ballots, I know that was a big thing on the last election. We need to teach people, you know, that's not a wrong thing to do as long as it's used in the right way. I mean, you know, using absentee ballots is an absolutely wonderful way for people to vote, but we need to, you know, explain to these people how that system works. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems is a lot of people really don't know how the system works. It needs to be explained to them and show them, you know, because I know running out and talking to people, you know, a lot of people are scared to vote now. They're afraid, you know, they're going to have an FBI agent or somebody come knocking on their door just because they casted a vote. And we need to show them, you know, the right way, that, you know, this is the right way to do it. And if we continue to strive and do things the right way, we're not going to have people coming and knocking on doors saying, well, you know, did so-and-so fill out your absentee ballot for you, or things of that nature.
Commissioner Vance, you're next on that question.
Well, I think having lived through this and worked through it over the past couple of years, I will continue to do what I've been doing, and that is to make sure that as a board of canvassers, it's your job to make sure that the elections are correct and that they haven't been skewed because of any particular reasons. And when the absentee vote numbers were coming in so high in the 2010 election, I think it sent up a flag to everyone, including the Lincoln Journal. And in the canvass itself, if those of you that were there know that I requested that the absentee and early vote be separated so that we could actually get a correct number as far as what happened in the absentee votes. And once we did that, and once they were looked at, they fell at a ratio much too high to be a matter of chance. And I think that's with the assistance of the Secretary of State's Office and the Department of Justice in looking into it, they found out why that happened. And it's sad that we have 3 elected officials who are going to go to the federal penitentiary because of it, because they should have never gotten involved in it anyway. You shouldn't elect people that are capable of doing that. And I don't think anyone up here, as far as the ones I know, would do anything along that line. And I think that all of us need to assure the electorate, the people that vote in this county, that their vote, if it's a legal vote, will count. And if it's an illegal vote, we'll catch it. Because that's what we did the last time. You know, those type things can't happen. You can't have a 50% vote for 2 candidates on election day and then have a 99% early vote for 1 candidate. If you do, something happened to that. And that's what happened in this. And I think everyone did their job at this time. You know, I lost several good friends because of my position of trying to do what I felt the people elected me to do. But that was my job, and that's what I will continue to do if you guys will vote for me and re-elect me.
Charlie Cook, same question to you. What are you doing, or what would you do to help restore confidence in the electoral process?
I would say, make sure there's people watching the election that's knowledgeable and knows what's going on, and have enough people to make sure that it's not done again.
You're next. Same question to you. What are you doing to restore confidence in the electoral process?
I think the first thing we need to do is restore the confidence back in our people for the county. I've knocked on a lot of doors across the county and run into a lot of people that are afraid to vote. Even though they voted legal, absentee, they're still afraid to get out there and vote. And I think they need to know that, you know, the people in there just want something good for the county. And, I think this is a good way to let people know what we stand for and what we're going to do to help them. I think the county clerk's office is doing a tremendous job. I think if there was more training, that the county clerk's office, there's something new that changes every day in rules and regulations. And if there's enough training put into place, that we shouldn't be making mistakes when we think, oh, we can do this or we can do that. And as long as there's more training throughout the county and for our employees, that will get out there.
KK Matthews, same question to you. What are you doing to restore confidence in the electoral process?
Well, I think some people touched on, when you're asked the same question to 5 other people, everybody hits almost every point. But what I think that, some of the things that haven't been mentioned is, funding for the county clerk office. To make sure that we do have adequate funding. To make sure that we do have, plenty of positions. And, when we're purging voter rolls, okay, to make sure that we don't have to fight for people, okay? I think another thing that is maybe something that we can look at, and I think Dr. Vance touched on this, was early voting. As of right now, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's not very many, I don't think there's any laws right now prohibiting people from campaigning all the way up at the polling precinct, where you're voting, okay, during early voting, not on election day, okay? And we're talking about campaigning all the way up into the place where you vote. All right? I think that's something that we need to look at because that does happen. And it did happen in the primary. And I think another thing that we do need to do is we need to encourage our citizens to vote. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care if you vote for me. I don't care who you vote for. But get out and vote. Go out. Tell your friends. Tell your family to vote. Because that's the only way that you make a difference. Could you believe it if you didn't have the right? How would you feel if you didn't have the right? And that's the way I look at it. That's all I got.
Thanks, KK. John Lovejoy, you're the final one to answer this question.
That's another reason why I'm running for office this time. Before, we didn't have a chance because they didn't know who was going to be in there. And I had all these absentees. They knowed how to work the system. And there was no use for us to file because they know who was stepping to the courthouse. We've got people laying on these points and these mountains that fought and died to give each and every one of us in this county the right to vote. I'm like KK. I don't care who you vote for, but go out and vote. Make up your mind and vote who you think is best representative for you.
Thanks, John. Okay, our fourth question, we're doing great on time. Our fourth question, and you, Commissioner Vance, you'll be the first one to answer this. The administration of President Barack Obama has been criticised in many quarters, particularly in this region, for its policies with regard to coal and the environment. Do you believe the administration's approach has been damaging to the coal industry?
Well, I think it's fairly evident when you look at the numbers themselves, and I try to be a numbers person. When you see the number of jobs that we've lost over the past, especially the past couple of years, there's bound to be a cause for that. And there may be more than one cause for that. It may be the EPA's policies, which I'm sure are more restrictive than they have been. You have to look at the weather, as far as whether it's mild winters, the emergence of cheap natural gas. There's several different things that affect the coal market. And you'll also find that the coal barons and the people that run those mines will tell you the same thing. But they're going to tell you more about Barack Obama's policies now than they will anything else. That's what's going to be the forefront, I think, of this election. You see people trying to tie other people to President Obama's policies. You see him trying to tie the governor to President Obama's policies. And it's just like sitting here in Lincoln County, as well as your Lincoln County commissioners. I can make a decision about where to put water and try to get water there. But I'm not going to, I can't tell the president what to do and his people around him. So I really don't want you to blame me for what he does, and don't blame him for what I do. Because he really has no say-so in it, and I really don't have a lot of say-so in what he does. But you have to look at the numbers. We've lost jobs in this area. I take care of all kinds of miners. I do black lung evaluations for the miners. I feel their pain. I listen to them every day tell me how they're losing jobs, how they have to worry about making payments for their houses and for their cars, or to make sure their kids have things. So this is a very real thing, and somebody needs to do something about it. Now, I do feel that natural gas will really help us eventually when we have the infrastructure developed to handle that. And I think that's the way to go for a cleaner environment. Because being a physician, I also know the effects of pneumoconiosis, of what things we have put into the atmosphere in Kanawha County that affect us here in Lincoln County. I mean, all these things are very real things also. So I do think the EPA's policies have not at all helped us in that direction. And I do feel that the EPA's policies have hurt as far as the type coal mining we do now.
Thanks, Mr. Lance. Charlie Cook, you're next. Do you think the administration's approach has been damaging to the coal industry?
Oh, absolutely. Not only the coal industry, you look at the price of fuel, price of groceries, the EPA, all the restrictions on the coal plants, you know, your electric bill has gone to where most people can't even afford to pay it now. So, yes, I do believe he has been very damaging to this country.
I do believe that coal is the main natural resource for the state of West Virginia. Without coal in West Virginia, we have nothing. We're going to have no Walmarts. We're not going to have no trains running with coal. We're not going to have any barges on the river with coal on them. I mean, this won't even be in a retirement state. Yes, I do believe that it has hurt our state and surrounding states because of what is being done with the coal industry. I am 100% behind coal, and I will stand that way till the day I die.
Thank you, Betty. Okay, Matthew, same question to you. Do you believe the administration of President Obama has been damaging to the coal industry?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that we need to look at when we say, you know, President Obama and being, you know, that this one man has actually affected the entire coal market. And I think that is, you know, I think that's rhetoric and I think that's talking points. You know, listen, I understand, having worked in the coal industry, I've worked in the coal industry when I was working on my MBA. Okay, listen, you know, it's important. We have to have coal, okay? But what I'm talking about, this is what I'm saying. We have to diversify our economy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just not about coal. It's about having jobs whenever the coal market is down. As you all know, the coal market is cyclical. I mean, it's up and down. In 2007, if you were wanting to buy met coal on the spot market, you're looking at $350 a ton. Okay? Now you probably can't even buy it for $50 a ton. It actually costs you more money to mine it than it does that you could sell it on the spot market today. That's why there has been a 9.5% drop in coal jobs, okay, from the first quarter to the second quarter. Those are the numbers, people. I'm telling you, it's projected at the end of the year, okay, that 40% of the nation's power is going to come from coal, okay? Those figures came, listen, those figures were started in 1949, and this is the lowest that it ever has been. And the reason, just like what Doc Vance said, it's not anything else. It's not one particular man, okay? It is market forces. Whenever you have cheap natural gas and you have the Marcellus Shale and you have a ton of gas, listen, it's more economical for a coal producer, or I should say a coal burning power plant, to actually move to natural gas. And that's what you're seeing. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying, hey, look, let's put a stop on coal. What I'm saying is, we need to diversify our economy. We need to do that, not just, you know, I'm talking, you know, this is a county level, all right? We need to foster development. But this has to come from the state. This has to come from our leadership. We have to demand more. Because if not, travel to Welch. See what that looks like. I mean, you think about it. That's where we are. We have to look forward. We have to look into the future. And that's what I'm about.
Thanks, KK. John Lovejoy, same question to you.
Absolutely. Obama has killed the coal industry. DEP has killed the coal industry. We're killing them. We have to get behind these miners and stand up for them. Coal is West Virginia. It's not just the miners working on the mines, it's the truck drivers driving the truck hauling the coal, it's the trains. It affects everything. There was a salesman, car salesman, told me since the coal industry went down, he went from 90% down to 60% sales, where he sells on commission. We got 250 years they're predicting of coal. We got it, let's use it, let's support it.
Thanks, John. Finally, Nick Blair, same question to you. Do you believe the policies of the Obama administration have been damaging to the coal industry?
Absolutely, I do. I'm probably the only person here that has a job directly related to the coal mining market. That has been felt all over the region, all over southern West Virginia. Unfortunately, President Obama's EPA has put a lot of restrictions on us in the coal industry that has, kept us from mining steam coal. However, metallurgic coal is still booming, and the price of metallurgic coal is, still up and high. It's not $50 a ton. Steam coal has dropped significantly because of the power plant production that President Obama has put on us, the clean coal production. We're still mining coal, but everything we're mining now is being exported, India, China, Japan, places where steel is made now. We're sending all of our metallurgic coal over there, and, if you look, these other countries are building 2 or 3 power plants a week that they're opening up. Overseas, you've got multiple power plants a week opening up in other countries, and luckily that's kept our steam market going for coal. But locally, our steam coal market has totally declined for the simple fact of the regulations put on by President Obama's EPA into the steam coal power plants. I mean, they're over-regulated extremely because of the greenhouse gas emissions that they're putting out. I mean, that's not something that is a good thing for our people of the United States, but, I mean, do we kill 5, 6 states by totally limiting the use of coal, or do we somehow taper that off over a period of time to where, you don't totally kill these states? West Virginia will not be existent if it was not for coal. We gain so much money from the coal market. I mean, there's so much tax base put into this state from the coal market. It's unbelievable at the, excess revenue that comes from mining coal.
Thanks, Nick. Our 5th question, and Charlie Cook, you'll be the first to answer this one. In 2011, just about a year ago, the Lincoln County Commission approved the first major overhaul of the county's magisterial districts in a quarter of a century. Some may argue it is a task that should have been done 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Do you believe the approach taken by the Commission last year was fair, when they reduced it from 6 districts to 3?
Do I believe it was fair?
Do you believe it was done fairly?
Do I believe it was done fairly?
Yeah.
Oh, from what I know about it, yes. That's one part of what's going on that I don't know a lot about. But from what I know, yes, sir, I believe it was done fairly.
Okay. Thank you. Betty, same question to you. Do you believe the redistricting was done fairly in Lincoln County?
Well, I'm a little bit like Charlie. I don't know a whole lot about how they went about deciding on the 3 districts. I know I was in the county clerk's office back in the 90s, and we had 33 precincts, which, that is a lot of voting places. And I know it may be uncomfortable for some people that may have to drive a little farther distance than what they normally have. But it did, shut down as far as more ballot boxes, a longer night on election night. So as far as I know, yes, sir.
Thank you. KK Matthews, same question to you. Was it handled fairly?
Well, I think it's quite ironic that whenever you do this redistricting, I mean, maybe they did it fair, as far as, I'm talking about, maybe they did it by the book. But as far as doing it fair, okay, Phoebe Harless didn't run. Doc Vance was redistricted out, right? Donna Martin. I mean, whenever you think, I don't know the motivation, but looking from the outside looking in, I don't really know whether it was fair. I mean, I am just going from what I see, okay? I'm not trying to cast judgment, but I'm gonna tell you this. It's very ironic that the people who are serving your communities were redistricted out so they couldn't run, okay? So, you know, did they go through the proper procedures? Yes, they did, from what I understand. But as far as for it to be fair, how they drew the lines, how they did all these different things, did the numbers add up? I don't think so. Thanks.
Same question to you, John Lovejoy. Was redistricting done fairly last year in Lincoln County?
I think that it was done, there was a motive behind it to redistrict so certain people can run for certain offices. When it come comment time about it, there was not a lot of comment was accepted on it, because I attended some meetings and Mr. McCann sat up there and said, I'm gonna do it anyway. And that's not the way to be. You need to listen to the people.
Nick Blair, same question to you. Was redistricting done fairly a year ago in Lincoln
I kind
County?
of feel the same way Johnny does there. You know, I think there should have been a lot more public input put into that as far as the districts and how the lines were drew. Also, Betty kind of touched on the 16 districts that we have now, as far as 16 precincts, I'm sorry, now that we have voting versus the 30-some we had before. Not sure how they got that now. I mean, I know, you know, down in Harts when they've done all that, we've got people just because you live on the left side of the road, you vote one way, you live on the right side of the road, you vote the other. That is absolutely, you know, crazy to me, how just because what side of the road. I mean, you know, should have been a line drew on Route 10 or Little Hearts, whatever road that was that they was going, and, you know, if you live north of this line, you vote Ranger. If you live south of this line, you vote in Harts. You live north here, you vote West Hamlin. You live south, you vote Hamlin. You know, it shouldn't be just because you live on the left, you know, for miles, this is like that. I mean, you've got people on the left side of the road for miles that have to travel to Ranger where they live right beside of our voting precinct within a 2-mile drive of it. But the people on the right side of the road, you know, they drive right on up 2 miles to their voting precinct and vote. You know, that's another thing I feel, touching back to how we instill, you know, better relations with people in the county as far as voting goes and stuff. That's another thing, you know. Why make them drive out of their way to vote when we can put them right in their home area, you know, right where they should be voting at? Why was they ever moved to another location to vote?
Thanks. Commissioner Vance, you were directly involved in the process last year, and the result of it affected you. You're running again this year. Do you think redistricting was done fairly in Lincoln County last year?
Absolutely not. It was done for the reasons that's been mentioned before. If you look at the districts, the way they were drawn, who they excluded, they were, you know, it's one thing if all adversaries of a particular faction's removed. It's another thing if you remove other people along with them. And when you look at the results of this, and what this was very typical gerrymandering. They drew up these lines that best suited them. You know, I was concerned during the whole process, voted against the process, as you know. And the reason being is that, as John said, I don't think enough public input was taken. I think it was rushed through. We had 2 years to do this with. We had 2 years from the time we got the numbers from the census to do this. But it had to be done in time to exclude me, to exclude Phoebe Harless, and exclude Donna Martin from running. And you could say it was done for other reasons, and I will say this. The actions that were taken by the commission in the 1980s they didn't complete their actions. They made the motion to change the districts and things of that nature. They did not get meets and bounds on the different districts. They did not send those meets and bounds in for the new maps to be made. So we've been operating on a set of maps that is basically prior to 1986. So what we did do this time was establish where the different districts were. My concerns at that time was that population centers, when you cut down to just 3 districts, population centers will control who the people are that are elected. I talked to people in Laurel Hill and Sheridan and talked to them about, you know, Harts always, and I applaud the people at Harts for coming out and voting. Because, of course, a lot of them are my people, so it really helps me when I run. But I do think they do come out and vote at a higher percentage than a lot of the county does. And that's gonna be a problem if you have a lot of people in those areas, because people from Laurel Hill, like Charlie or myself, if I didn't have a connection to Hearts, would have a really tough time ever being elected because of the large number of people that come out there. Same thing can be said for Hamlin, same thing can be said for Allen Creek. So all of us outlying areas, it took a little bit away from us as far as how we could represent. But there's no doubt, I think that the numbers probably could have been reduced. I think they could have been done without as much impact in having people like Mr. Blair said, going from Little Hearts Creek to Ranger to vote. That is ridiculous. Those people should not have to go there. That's why I'm glad we have the early voting at Furlsburg. At least they can run up there and vote early if they want to. Because you're taking them out of their inherent district that they've always been in. You're taking them out of Hearts District and voting them in Laurel Hill. Even though those lines don't exist now, they do in people's minds and their hearts. And that's the problem you get into. It may, and it has, I think, affected voter turnout because people don't want that to do that. So I think overall, there may have been some grand intention that I wasn't aware of, but sitting here as a county commissioner today, if I had it to do over again, I would vote against it again.
Thanks, Commissioner Vance. And this will be our final question because the time has worked out just right, and then we'll do closing statements after the final question. So, Betty, I believe you're the first to answer the final question. The Lincoln County Commission has been called upon 3 times in the past 10 months to fill vacancies that arose because of resignations. So there was the filling of that arose after Mr. Bowman resigned, after Mr. Whitten resigned, and after Mr. Ramey resigned. Was the method used to fill these vacancies appropriate, or do you have suggestions as how otherwise to approach it?
Actually, I believe that they had their mind made up before it would, as soon as everyone was sitting and resigned. I think that they pretty much knew who they were going to appoint to run.
And not so much talking about running, I'm talking more about appointing people to fill the interim vacancies.
Oh, for the, okay.
Until you guys...
Excuse me, I'm sorry, yeah. I assume that the committees met and decided what they, who they wanted to appoint in there. It was my understanding that the committee, people all over the county, also had a say in who they chose and voted on as far as appointing someone. I know the county commission, it was up to, the 2 that was left on there to appoint that.
Thank you, Betty. KK, you're next in my question. Was the process of filling the interim vacancies, was it done appropriately? Have you suggestions how better to do it?
Well, I think I mentioned previously what I think that we should do. I mean, I know what they did. And, without hiring policy, were they going about it appropriately? If you don't have a hiring policy, then, evidently they were. But if you have a hiring policy in place, then there is an understanding, okay? And where there's an understanding, there's no misunderstanding, all right? You know what's going on, okay? You know that this job's going to be posted, just like the school system. You know the job's going to be posted, okay? And you can come in and you can, submit your application, submit your resume, and then go through qualifications. Have it, interview everyone, and I think that's up to, and that can be spelled out in the policy, that's up to the commission, or you can shortlist. I mean, but without a policy, you're always going to have that argument. You're always going to have that debate. And I really believe, as, if you are on the county commission, I think that that's something that we need to probably institute for this county. And I think that once we do that, I think things will be fair.
Thanks, KK. John Lovejoy, you're next on that one.
The hiring policy, like KK said, I agree with 100%. We're notorious for not having a hiring policy in this courthouse. It's the same way like running for office and everything else in the election. Anytime you got in a situation like we was in this county, you want the best people that you can think of. That goes back to the second thinking. You want the best people that you can think of to fulfill those offices. And I don't think the county commission done bad when they picked out the people they did put in there.
Nick, same question to you. Was the filling of the intern positions handled fairly, properly?
You know, I think at first, with the first two positions that was filled, I think our commission done a great job as far as Mr. Goo's position and the Sheriff Vickers position. They actually sent out, asked for people to apply for those positions. They chose from those, they interviewed, they chose the person that they was gonna replace with. However, you know, with the last commission opening, I don't know what happened there. There was never any, you know, thing like that done, even though, you know, that person is a friend of mine, Michael Browning. I think he has done a good job as commissioner and will continue until his term's over. But, you know, there was never any application period. There was never any true interviewing done. It was just whoever they wanted to choose, they chose and put them in there. I'm not sure why they backslid from what they had done that was such an excellent thing to start with, and backslid into something, you know, just the old way of just choosing, you know, who they want to put in. But, you know, like I said, I commend them for the first two positions. I think that was the truly right way to do things. You know, somebody submits an application, they give their interest for that position, interview them, choose the best out of those candidates, and, you know, then I think they fell short on this last appointment.
Commissioner Vance, you were part of the commission that appointed the people. Do you think it was done properly?
Well, I have to think so, because as John said, you know, we got good people in there. It's really hard to sit down, whether you interview somebody one time or not, determine whether they're going to do a good job or not. But I think Merle's done an excellent job. I think David's done an excellent job. And I know it's tough to come into the courthouse and try to do a job and do it right. And I think they both have. As far as the pick of Michael Browning, I've known Michael, you know, I've taken care of him as his physician, and I also known him personally. I know his family personally. So when it came down to trying to get an honest person, and that's really what I was looking for. I wanted somebody to set on whatever we put in, wherever we put a person into office, that would do that job well and do that job based upon what they felt was best for the people. And I think Michael has a good heart for that. And that's why I voted for Michael Browning to be on the commission, because I do think he's done an excellent job since he's been there. And he also brings a side to the commission that neither me or Mr. McCann has. And that he's young and he works with kids and things like that. Usually if I see a child who's sick, but I mean, he's out working with them with ball teams and things like that. And I know how much he cares for them. So I feel really good about all three picks.
And Charlie Cook, the same question to you. Was it done fairly?
Well, from what I've heard about the people that they put into office, yes, but, I mean, without being a part of it, there's really no way that I could know that it was done fairly or not.
Okay. That concludes our 6 questions. We proceed now to, we can call them opening or closing statements. Seeing as I forgot, we'll start in the same order. We'll start with you, KK, for your closing statement. We can maybe keep it to a minute, maybe 2 minutes.
I'll tell you. Well, listen, my name, if you don't know, my name is Kenny Matthews. I was raised in Lincoln County, son of Ken and Brenda Matthews, married a pretty young woman from down Mud River. She's the daughter of the late Dale Lovejoy and Teresa Lovejoy Meyer. I have 4 sons that I'm raising in this county: Carrie, Gage, Kyle, and Clay. And I am your Democrat nominee to represent District 1. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about my qualifications. I have a master's degree in business administration that I received in 2008. I have a master's degree in physical science that I received in 2005. And I received my bachelor's degree from West Virginia State College. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the education, and I also have the experience as a former financial advisor, a registered broker with FINRA, as the former president of the Lincoln County Board of Education, and as an educator. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that I am uniquely qualified for any aspect, whether it be business or professional or personal, that we can encounter on the county commission. I believe I have a vision. I believe that we need to diversify our economy. I believe that we need to develop. We need to use the infrastructure that we have. We need to promote the dam. We need to promote the Hatfield and McCoys. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to move forward. And I'm not running because of me. I'm running because of my kids. I'm running because of those kids I see down at the Red football field, Norfolk down back. Guys, we have to move forward into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the qualifications. I'm a leader, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
John Lovejoy, your closing statement.
Well, first, I want to thank you, Sean, for putting this on. I think we need to do this to give people's confidence, let them meet us. And I do appreciate you for doing this for the county. My name's John Lovejoy. I was born June 4th, 1957 at West Hammond. I've lived all my life in Lincoln County. I've been married 34 years. I've got 3 kids, I've got 3 grandkids. I want to see a better Lincoln County for my grandkids and my kids. I've got some still in school. I want to see people to be able to flourish. I want to see them have clean drinking water. As KK said about the Mud River Dam up there, I'm one, it's in my FAR district. I'm a PADI certified diver. I go in there when something happens. That's why we need cell phone service. We need high-speed internet. This county needs a lot of stuff. We need coal. And I'm gonna tell you again, we need coal for the coal severage tax. If that would go away today, I don't know if they'd meet the payroll. Doc could probably tell you if they could, but it's a big part of this county. It affects each and every one of us, either directly or indirectly, somewhat. But I'm not a politician, and I'll keep on serving Lincoln County if I'm elected or not. And politics, in my mind, is a dirty word. I don't care what your politics is. If you're in need, I will do everything I can to help you. And I thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, John. Nick, your closing statement.
I'm Nick Blair. I'm a lifelong resident of Parks here in Lincoln County. I'm a registered nurse by education, coal miner by trade. I think that Johnny and KK might have touched on a couple of the points there, especially one of the, or two of the biggest things is, I truly think that every resident of this county is entitled to drinking water. That's not just a gift that they're given. That's something that they're truly entitled to, I feel, as a taxpayer of Lincoln County. I think that's something they truly deserve to have. That's something I think that we need to really strive on and move forward to, not only, as I said earlier, to provide them for health reasons with the clean drinking water, but also for fire protection. It lowers their insurance rates, and just, it makes them feel safer at night when they lay down to know that there's a possibility that if their house catches on fire, somebody's going to be able to help them do something about it. Secondly, I've been a firefighter in this county for greater than 10 years now. I've seen people at their worst, and unfortunately, every day in this county, for some people, is their worst. I think we can do better than that. I think we can bring infrastructure into this county to provide for the people, to make them, be able to better themselves and better the county at the same time. That's something that we truly need to work on. This county, every county around us pretty much, is a lot better off than we are. I don't see why we can't match with Kanawha County, Putnam County, Logan County. We have the same things they have. We have the same, area. We're in the same area as them. Why can't we have the things they have? Our children in this county have nothing to do. They go to school, they come home from school. We have no kind of community organizations for our children. I think that's something we need to build on, something to keep them out of trouble. We live in an area that unfortunately most of southern West Virginia, not just Lincoln County, is running rampant with prescription drug abuse. One of the reasons I feel for that is we don't teach our kids any better. We don't give them nothing to do but go home and run around and get into trouble. We need to give them something that will keep them out of trouble, somewhere to go as an organization for them to stay and, learn to stay away from the drugs, to not do these things. That's one thing, being on the fire department, I've seen that we can do. That's one thing we reach out, we try to get young kids to become a part of. And, unfortunately, not everybody wants to be a firefighter. I think we could save a lot of lives that way if we could get those kids to do that, but they don't want to. But there's other things that we could build in our communities that everyone would want to do. And that's, that's where our future is, that's where this county is going. I have an 18-month-old son, that's what we need to build on, is for them, not for us, but we need to make it better for our children, for our grandchildren, for the future of this county. We don't want this county to go downhill into the drug abuse. And that's where it's going now. We need to do something to stop that and reverse the trend.
Thank you, Nick. Commissioner Vance, same question. Your closing statement.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Charles Vance. I'm a graduate of West Virginia University and the West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine. I'm a practicing physician in Hearts at Valley Health Hearts. I'm a clinical professor for the West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine. Governor Thomas appointed me to the driver's license advisory panel, which I serve on. Under previous administrations, I've been appointed to serve as in the Judicial Selection Committee for Governor Manchin and for the Medical Malpractice Advisory Panel to the Board of Risk and Investment Development by Governor Wise. I've served quite a bit of time as president of the state of West Virginia Society of Osteopathic Medicine and served on their board of trustees where we dealt with malpractice problems, with quality of care problems. I served on their I was chair of the committee for the professional conduct of hospitals and clinics where we policed those particular entities as far as quality care for our patients and to make sure there wasn't any drug diversion and things of that nature. I spent the last 12 years serving as your county commissioner. My main goal, as I've said before, has been to try to get people drinkable water, clean water. And that's been something I think we've been fairly successful at with the help of the other commissioners and those agencies that have worked with us. I've also tried my best to keep our elections fair and clean. And I've heard it brought up that people were afraid to go vote because they're worried the FBI is going to get after them. But I've had a lot of people come to me and say, gosh, I'm glad our vote counts now. I'm glad that I can go to the polls and know our vote counts and we might win something. And it's a testament to that all of us are up here now. You have many more people running for office. You have many more people feeling that they can win that and serve the people of the county. It's good to hear the other candidates talk about what they'll do with the water, because I think that's very important. I think it's important to get cell service, especially for emergencies and things like that, but our people need those things. We don't have this tax structure and base that Logan County does. We don't get the amount of cold severance that they get or that Boone County gets. But I can assure you, during my 12 years on the commission, I've done the best I can to get as much of that cold severance money into water projects, and we've done that. And that's how we've accomplished what we have. It's a plan that we established 10 years ago, and we have made great strides toward that. And I feel that during the 12 years I've been in office, I've helped make Lincoln County a safer place and a better place to live. And I hope those of you that have water will vote for me because I helped get it. But I also hope those of you that would do that because there's a lot of people that still don't have it, and I still know how to get it. I still know how to complete these water projects. I know how to go get the funding, and I've been doing it for 10 years, and I'll be glad to do it for the next 4. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Vance. Charlie Cook, you're next. Your closing statement.
Well, I want to say thanks, and for those who don't know, I'm Charlie Cook, and I am a lifelong resident of Lincoln County. And the only thing I have to say is I want to see Lincoln County come back to what it used to be, at least 60 years ago, when there was a lot more in Lincoln County than there is right now. And I will do everything I can to make sure that happens if I'm elected. And I want to say thanks again.
Thanks, Charlie. And finally, Betty Hodge, your closing statement.
I'm Betty Hodge. I'm running for the county commission seat. I've lived here my entire life. My family raised me in Griffithsville. I'm the daughter of Carolyn Neese and Dickie Hodge, Carlos Hodge, and my grandparents raised me, Carl and Pauline Hodge. They've been wonderful people, and they brought me up old school. I want what's good for our county, and I stand for Cole, and I stand behind our fire departments and our EMTs and our law enforcement. We have 4 deputies. We shouldn't have 4 deputies in this county. As much money is laying out there for federal government money to write grants. I want to work hard to bring money into this county, and not just for that, for food pantries, for anything I can write a grant for to bring money in this county. That's what I want to do. I stand behind the Crime Watch because I think they are a big tribute since we only have 4 deputies. They can't be everywhere, but the Crime Watch can, and I think they're worth a whole lot more than $500 a year. Thank you.
Thanks, Betty. We might give our candidates a round of applause.
off here is I'd like all the candidates in the office to join me the day after the election in picking up those campaign signs. As ever will.